The King of Macedonia, the Pharaoh of Egypt, the Madman of Macedonia, the Philosopher King. Today, we are going to talk about one man who could say, "I'm great," and mean it. Hello everyone, my name is Raechel Fisher. Okay, coming in at number 10, we tell the sweet tale of a horse and his boy. Alexander was known for his ambition and for doing what most considered the impossible. One such impossible thing involved training of his soon-to-be faithful steed all throughout his reign. When Alexander was just 10, his father bought him a horse named Bucephalus for the extravagant price of 13 talents, which equates to around 350 kilograms of gold. The thing was, no one could tame it, not even the trainer himself. But it was clear that this horse was meant for Alexander, as he quickly figured out that the horse was afraid of his own shadow. No sooner had he discovered that when he bet his father that he could ride it. By turning the horse to face the sun so his shadow was behind him, little 10-year-old Alexander was able to mount the horse and ride it. Bucephalus and Alexander became best buds, and he even named a town after him. Coming in at number 9, we have the rumors about what Alexander the Great actually looked like. One interesting aspect to this epic leader was that according to many historians, they think that Alexander may have had an eye condition called heterochromia iridium, which means that his eyes were different colors, one blue and the other was brown. Besides that, however, according to records, Alexander was short and stocky and dyed his hair red with saffron. According to Platonist philosopher Plutarch, Alexander smelled really good, as he had a most agreeable odor. Plutarch talks about this in his novel Lives of the Noble Greeks and Romans, which was written around 400 years after Alexander died. Though it makes you wonder, did he smell so good that 400 years later people are still talking about it? Who knows? Coming in at number 8, we have the Library of Alexandria. Look, when people give you an epic name, it's hard to think of any other options when you're trying to name cities you conquered. Throughout his conquest, Alexander named over 70 cities after himself, and one after his horse, Bucephalus. He would create cities around his fortresses and name them Alexandria, one of which remains one of the largest cities in Egypt to this day. It remains the most prolific of his cities as it contained the Library of Alexandria. As Alexander had a great love of literature and philosophy, especially Homer's Iliad, which he kept a copy of under his pillow, he founded the Library of Alexandria. At one time, the library held over 500,000 documents from around the world before it was lost. Arriving at number 7, we have another famous name to tie to our great conqueror. Alexander was schooled by one of the most renowned philosophers in history, Aristotle. He remained his tutor until he ascended to the throne, but the two remained in contact throughout his reign. Aristotle actually encouraged Alexander to conquer the Persian Empire, and his influence on the ruler shone in the conqueror's ability in handling diplomatic maneuvers. Due to their relationship, the words and ideas of Aristotle were spread wherever Alexander conquered and could perhaps be one of the reasons Aristotle is so well known today. However, after Alexander conquered Persia, his ideas began to change from those founded in Greek ideology and put a wedge between the two men. Some historians even believe that Aristotle might have had a hand in Alexander's death due to his relationship with Alexander's general Antipater, who is suspected in his mysterious demise. Coming in at number 6, Alexander the Scuba Diver? During the siege of Tyre in 332 BC, Alexander wanted to weaken any underwater defenses so he may take the city. Now, there is no record that he had any kind of submarine or crazy ship or anything like that, but legend has it he utilized something called a dive bell. A dive bell was like a barrel made of glass that could keep the occupant inside dry and able to breathe. Stories say that he was lowered along with 2 other occupants into the sea in order to observe Tyre from beneath. There is no concrete evidence save several recorded stories, but should this story be true, was Alexander so ambitious as to imagine conquering the sea? We don't know. Coming in at number 5, we have the untying of the Gordian knot. As we know, good old Alex wasn't a man to pass up a challenge, so when he heard of the Gordian knot, well, come on. That's like telling me not to eat an Oreo that's right in front of me. I mean, I'm gonna eat it. Okay? The legend of the Gordian knot surrounded the prophecy made by an oracle that said to the Phrygians, now central Turkey, that they should crown the first man to ride into town on an ox cart, something they did in fact do to a poor peasant named Gordius. After he was crowned, he dedicated his cart to Zeus by tying the cart to a pole outside the temple. After that, another legend followed. Since the knot was hardened over time, a prophecy was then made that whoever untied it would rule all of Asia. That's like Alexander the Great written all over it. Once Alexander heard of this, he had to give it a go, but when he got there, it was a little too hard. Especially since there were no ends to begin untying and whatever excuses he wanted to make up, so Alexander took the quick route and just cut it in half with his sword and said, "I loosened it." Technically he did conquer most of Asia, but not all. That's what you get for not solving the whole problem, Alex. The Gordian knot has since been coined to describe an impossible problem that needs an unthought of solution. We're all familiar with his formal title, but some even know him as the son of Zeus. Coming in at number 4, could this great leader have also been a demigod? Before Alexander entered Egypt, they had been under Persian rule for over 200 years. Apparently they were quite sick of them, so they were more than happy to claim Alexander as their pharaoh, a legacy that would last for over 300 years. While he was in Egypt, however, Alexander decided to make the long trek to visit the shrine of Zeus Ammon. According to the man himself, he was guided there by ravens, and it even rained during his journey, which was interpreted as a blessing since they were in the desert. When he got there, the priest named him a son of Zeus. It's pretty cool. Whether or not he believed in the claim, who cares? They already called him the Great. Like, what more could you want? Here we are at number 3, and we know we can't talk about Alexander the Great without talking about how amazing he was in battle. During the 15 years of his conquest, starting from his first victory when he was 18, Alexander never lost a battle. Even some of his military tactics are studied to this day. It was his father Philip II of Macedonia and Alexander who first saw the need for military reform. They hired full-time soldiers. Together they built armies on discipline, unity, loyalty, and they held true to a highly organized formation called the phalanx. But it was Alexander who was able to take that formation and adjust it to suit any and all terrain. His agility, audacity, vigor, and capability when it came to making crucial decisions left a legacy that leaders would revere for thousands of years. One of his most famous battles included his standoff with Darius III. Alexander faced 200,000 Persian warriors against 47,000 men and still won, triggering the fall of the Persian Empire. It's no wonder why men like Julius Caesar looked up to him. Coming in at number 2, we have a foreboding prophecy surrounding Alexander's death. The man had many followers that he accumulated throughout his conquest of Asia. One, however, may have actually predicted where Alexander was going to die. Calanus was a philosopher that Alexander met while in India who became one of his entourage. The man became ill, however, and instead of letting the illness take him, he told Alexander that he planned on self-immolation, dying by fire. They respected his wishes, and as he was about to step into the fire, he said farewell to everyone, yet neglected to salute Alexander, saying that he would do so when he saw him in Babylon. Of course they didn't think anything of it at the time, but when Alexander passed away in Babylon, the words took on a whole different meaning. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Which brings us to, last but not least, our number 1 spot. If you've enjoyed this video, like it, subscribe for more, and if you want to flex some of your ancient history knowledge, leave us some comments. Today we end poetically with the mysterious death of Alexander the Great. Alexander, due to the nature of his work, had experienced more than one attempt on his life, but the true circumstances of his death remain a mystery to this day. Alexander was known to be quite the partier, you know, good for you, man. But who would have known that might have been his downfall? After returning from a long deadly journey through the Gradosian desert, at a banquet in Babylon, Alexander drank an entire bowl of wine. It must have been a big bowl because he fell sick the next day. You might think it was just a nasty hangover, but 2 weeks later, the great leader was no more. Due to the fact that his father was murdered by one of his guards, suspicion consumed his company and many thought that he may have been poisoned, but no one figured it out. As I said earlier, some even speculated that the famous philosopher Aristotle may have been involved. Today, however, historians suspect that it might have been typhoid fever or malaria that undid this great ruler. But they couldn't let their great leader go without giving him a far from typical burial. They stuck him in a vat of honey at the end of his life, which helped his body remain preserved over the long journey to Egypt. What's even more mysterious though is that no one knows precisely where he is buried, and perhaps we will never know. And that's our top 10. Thank you so much for joining me, and as always, we'd love to hear from you. My name is Raechel Fisher, and I will see you next time. Coming in at number 10, we tell a sweet tale of a horse and his boy. Alexander was known for his ambition, and in doing so, I don't even know what I'm talking about. I got distracted in my head because I was like, this is really dark. But it's fine. Coming in at number 9, we have the rumors about the what? We're gonna go. Geez, thanks, Chris. First day. Sounds like it? Okay. Price of 13 talents, which equates to about 300. Wow. Wow, slow down. It's fine. When Alexander was just 10, his father bought him a horse named Bucephalus for the extravagant price of 13 talents, which equates to around 350 kilograms of gold.